Hey y'all, Eli with Alchemy Custom Weaponry and Cabot Guns here today. It is June 6th, 2024, a very special day for America, for Americans, for the world really, as it marks the 80th anniversary of Operation Overlord, which for some of you is better known as D-Day. Now, what is D-Day? What is that if you're unfamiliar? D-Day was the combined Allied amphibious and air assault on Normandy, or northern France, that eventually led to the, well, let's be honest, the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. This was a key and pivotal moment during World War II, where Americans now were going to have boots on the ground in France, and with our British and Canadian, and I believe there was even some Australian folks, and of course French resistance there, we could begin to push the Germans out of France and then push them back into Germany and then all the way to Berlin. Now, this is important for so many different ways that it's just very difficult to describe to you, but we live in a society that doesn't understand the world that was 1944, okay? The world on the brink of destruction, really. Nazi Germany and the Empire of Japan were beginning to spread their tyranny across the nations of the world, and of course, America stepped up to the call after the bombing of Pearl Harbor in 1941 to join the Allies and begin the destruction of evil that was the Empire of Japan and Nazi Germany. Now, we today don't understand that. There's never been a threat like the German and the Japanese onslaught since then, and we have the greatest generation to thank for that. Of course, these are folks that are unfortunately passing away left and right. Of course, here I am today at Burke County's American Veteran Memorial. I felt that this was the only place that we could talk about this, because on this wall are so many different World War II veterans who have unfortunately passed away. My grandfather being one of them, who served in the United States Navy from 1944 to 1946. He enlisted illegally, I guess you could say, as he was too young but did not care. And if you've ever met me, you know that it's probably not a stretch to imagine a Duckworth that looked a little bit older than he was. So, but it's these people's sacrifices, their willingness to go off and save the world, that give us the country that we have today, that made our country the strong superpower that it is today. And so many people, from my generation especially, just do not seem to understand the sacrifice these people gave to free the world of this awful tyranny. The Nazis we were well aware of the things that they did. Of course, the Empire of Japan is no stranger to atrocities, but these gentlemen and ladies took up arms, went overseas, and kicked some ass under that red, white, and blue banner. And, and that's another thing too. The American manufacturing effort during World War II, the people at home, the women and the men who didn't go overseas, manufacturing arms, ammunition, uniforms, and everything that a country at war needs to survive. And let's be honest, folks, the American superiority of manufacturing helped us to be the superpower we were in World War II. That was the sleeping giant that they didn't want to awake, but they did it anyways. And so on this day, as I'm standing here in front of this monument, you have to think to yourself, it's the 80th anniversary of D-Day. Many of these veterans are no longer with us, unfortunately. I believe one article I read, there was less than 1% of the brave men who stormed the beaches of Normandy are still alive. And that is just heartbreaking. I understand that's the cycle of life. These gentlemen are well into their 90s, and some of them even 100 plus. And I understand that's the cycle of the life. But we are on the cusp of losing the last of the greatest generation. And that is always something that kind of starts to swell up in your heart. You know, across the country, walls like these, monuments like these are growing bigger and bigger, and that is because names are added to the walls as these veterans pass away, and it is something that is absolutely tear-jerking, really. If you are a red-blooded American such as myself, it's something that really is unsettling. However, you know, it is a cycle of life, but we want to honor and commemorate those gentlemen and ladies' service to this great nation that we call the United States of America. And with that, Cabot Guns is so proud. And when I say this too, this isn't a marketing thing. This is actually coming from my heart here. We are so proud at Cabot Guns and Alchemy Custom Weaponry, of course, you know, sister companies, to have built a tribute gun to be able to fund some veteran charities. By now you may have seen the D-Day gun. It's a Cabot collaboration with Ray Rybar, who's a just absolute incredible blacksmith, to create something that has never been made in the 1911 space, in the manufacturing space really at all. And that is a 1911 pistol where the slide, the trigger, and the grips are forged from Damascus. Now for Cabot, that's a Tuesday afternoon. You know, we do that all the time, but this is a special Damascus. This Damascus features sand from Omaha Beach. It features Thompson submachine gun bolts, M1 Garand receivers, pieces of the warships that supported the troops as they made their assault at Normandy, and many things other, M1 helmets, paratrooper, parachute clips, so many different things that would have been on the beaches of Normandy are molded and forged into this Damascus slide trigger and grips. And it's something special when you see it in person, when you hold that, because you see the recycling of, you know, the American manufacturing power that has gone to win a war, and now we're making a tribute pistol out of those materials. Things like the front sight post, for instance, or excuse me, the front sight itself is brass. Now I know what you're thinking, on a gun as expensive as that one. It's maybe not what you want to see as a brass bead, but this brass is brass from casings that were picked up from Normandy Beach, so that is absurdly special in itself. And so of course there's in true Cabot fashion, there's an amazing case that goes with it, and we're just so proud to have had this opportunity to do this project. It's one of those things too where the company invested a lot of time and effort and resources into something we're not going to make a dollar off of. Now that's not, you know, we're not sitting here bragging about that. We're going to take all that money that was raised from selling this gun and donate it to various veteran organizations. And it's one of those things where it almost felt like it was our duty to do this. You know, this was something we had to do. There was no other option, you know. And it's something that me, as someone who, you know, comes from a World War II veteran, two of them actually, on both sides, and, you know, touts myself as a red-blooded, patriotic American, it's something that really does get you choked up. And I'm kind of struggling a little bit with my words here, because it is something I'm kind of fighting here, trying to not show too much emotion, because it is such a special project. This greatest generation went out, you know, into the unknown and took on evil in a way we've never really seen it since, and created the foundations of the superpower that we are today. And ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those things where if you've got a World War II veteran that's still alive in your family, or that you know, maybe he's on the corner store. See, that's another thing to me. There's several names up here. I grew up, every morning going to the B&B corner store before school, having me a fried bologna sandwich, and there they are, and I'm just talking to them. And I took for granted that time with them. And I want to tell y'all, if you've got one of these gentlemen in your family, or ladies, of course, women were a huge, part of the war effort there too. If you've got those people in your life, hold on to them, cling to them, talk to them, just spend some time with them. And that honestly goes for any United States veteran as well. Show them some love, of course. We live in a time where patriotism is not welcome. People don't want to be patriotic. I'm going to challenge you to break that status quo and be patriotic. Show some veterans some love, okay? Tell them you love them. Tell them thank you for your service if you see them. And just understand that, listen, we can never fathom the world that was 1941, 42, 43, 44, 45. We can't imagine that world because of the sacrifices that these men and women gave to us. And so, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate you sticking along. I know this is an Alchemy Custom Weaponry, YouTube video, but of course, Cabot being our mother company, as I call them, the sugar mama, as I like to say. I wanted to take some time and just talk about this awesome project that we were a part of here at Cabot and Alchemy, and just take a moment to really remember the men and women who served the United States of America during World War II. Thank you so much for your service. And thank you so much for watching. Remember, carry cocked and locked. We'll see you next time.